Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange, and I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and also hopefully to get those of you that have been painting a while to paint along with us. And today we're going to be working on the koala bear. Now the koala bear, if you're a beginner, is not going to be easy. It has a number of layers. It takes a long time to complete, but it's more for intermediate to advanced painters, I think, but it's certainly something that if you want to try, you should be able to do. This is the first fire. We'll get some of the glare off of it. That's my first fire. As you can see, his coloring in his face is just barely there. And that's intentional because we want to make sure that we build up the color the correct way on this bear. We don't want to do it like all at once. This is the second fire. And you can see some of that color now is covered up. And then finally, and this was the very first bear I did, but finally, this is the third fire. First thing I do is I get a picture to work from. I blow up the photo if I'm using a photo, or even if I'm using multiple photos, I try to blow them up so that I can see his eyes, see his hair. Okay. And that way I have something to work from right in front of me that makes it much easier for me to see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to introduce you to 3 new brushes, or at least 2 if you haven't used them before. The first one is this. This is a 1/2 inch wedge. I call it a wedge. It's called an angular shader. Now this is from Princeton. It's a select. I get them from Dick Blick. This is the cheapest of the Princeton brushes. I like their brushes. They work pretty well for me for these unusual sizes. I use them for acrylics, and so I've been using them, buying fresh brushes. I don't take my acrylics brushes and use them for both. I only use this one for China painting. And I find that it really helps with the wood and the texture in the background. So it'll save you a ton of time. If you have a brush like this, try it. The next brush we're going to talk about, it's called a grainer, a filbert grainer. That's the actual name on it, Grainer. But this is what it looks like. I'll put it over here. And as I move it closer, you should be able to see there that it has every other bristle on the top missing. Now, this is the cheaper brush. This one is a 3/8 inch, and it's the Select, Princeton Select. This is a Princeton Velvet Touch. This one is. And the Princeton Velvet Touch is the better bristles. That's the difference between these. You can tell by looking at them. This is acceptable. It will work with China painting. It will work with oils. But you see how big this is compared to this? Look at this here. Everything's reversed. I prefer the 1/4 inch because I can get a much finer detail in his face. And let me show you again his face. See that area up there on the top? You want that to look like that, and it's better if you have a smaller brush. You can play with it a little more and get what you want. The other thing is, if you need to use your fur brush, this is a texturate fur brush. You may have this already. We've used it in the past on squirrels and a couple of other short-haired animals. This is perfectly fine, but don't use it flat like this, where you're using the whole thing like this. You know, what you want to use is just the side of it, like this, and paint. And it will give you the effect of the rake, or grainer, as they call it, but of this brush. So that's what I'm going for. The other brushes I'm going to use on this, if you don't have any of those, you're going to have to resort to one of these 2 to help you with the fur. This is like a 5/0. See how tiny that is? And then this is my scroller. And then eventually you will also be using a 1/4 inch, just a 1/4 inch square shader. This is a Sharp brush if you wonder where I got that brush. And those will all give you some of the other colors on here. Now, I've already traced him on, and he doesn't look very good, mainly because I had to go over him with a red pen. I used the Sharpie so you could see him, because some of this red was kind of light, and I was afraid that when we actually go to paint, you may not be able to see it. This is going to take a while. I'm going to start with this brush, which is the grainer, or as I call it, a rake. It reminds me of a rake, because it's like, see how many, every other one of those is missing. I'm going to put it in my pink. So you're going to need a shell pink. I'm doing a full load. And when I load this, I load it just like I would any other brush, any other square shader. But I'm going to work upside down this, and I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, that's better. And you're just going to pull it up and pull it around. Try to get it on his forehead. And this is the picture we're working from. You also want the area here around his eyes to be pink, and his whole forehead. Okay, that's what I'm going for right now. And you want it to have that kind of grainy lines. You can do it this direction up at the top, because you want to get it to have that fur look to it. So that's perfectly fine. And put a little on the sides here, a little on the sides here, and a little around his eyes. Okay, I knew his eyes were going to smear. That's too bad. That makes it very hard to see where the pink is. Okay, my next color, and I use the turpentine to clean my brush. And I'm going to load it again with I use Turpenoid as my paint medium. You don't have to. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to do his forehead with gray. And I have here a silver gray. It can be any color gray. You'll notice on his forehead here, he has a real dark kind of area. And it's a little darker here and here. And then it's a little darker on the sides. So that's what we're going for. So I'm going to start out with the upper area here and just pull it up. Getting my gray. Now, I may have to mix a little bit of black with it, because I need it to be a little, there we go. And then I want the sides to be gray too. I'm mixing a little black because I want them to be a little bit darker. There, that's better. Do this side here. Now, if you have any questions as we're going along, please ask. And then I've got that area up in here. So I'm doing that like that. Then I'm pulling it out to the edges. And that area up in here, and then I'm pulling it out to the edges. And then I want this area here to be a little darker. And you might have to go up and then come back down and then go back up again, just to get the kind of look you want on his face, okay? There we go. And I'm just going to take a little black and do this area here. Come here, you. This area here. And this area here. You're using a very light black if you use black at all. Okay? And maybe a little right here. And a little right here. Okay. Now remember, my red will fire out. I want this to be a little darker right here. There we go. That's better. With this brush, you have to use all of it. You can't use the side of it. You can, but it won't do what you want it to do necessarily. I'm also going to take and put a little gray under his chin. So I have to pull down like this in order to do that, okay? This is going to be almost like a mustache. It will have a little gray on it. I can do that now if I want. There. And I want to make sure that the gray is coming up to his nose. There we go. Okay, that's his face right now. Now I'm going to do his eyes. I'm going to do them with my scroller because this scroller is fabulous. I'm going to take my paint and roll it in the black. Take my brush and roll it in the black. And I'm going to start and do his eyes. They are outlined. Then you're going to put a center section in like this. And then you're going to put a pupil. The pupil is kind of like a cat's pupil. It's just straight like this. And we're going to put, we will put some highlight in it. This one comes from up here, down, and down here, up. Make sure they're across from each other. He has a pupil and a cat's eye in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to take is a yellow brown. So I've got it on here. I'm going to test it on my tile, make sure it's not too runny. And I want to put yellow brown up here. His eyes are brown. And yellow brown right here. Now, if I go in with the Pico-Pay and pull down, there we go. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to continue to use my scroller, and I'm going to start in the middle of his nose, and I'm going to go up and down and up. Oh, I need more paint on it. And we're going to go here and go up on this side. So there's a little indent at the top of the nose. Let me show you here. There's a little indent right there. But there's also a line that comes down in the nose. And then there's dark around this part and dark on the end of the nose. So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing that little indent. Come on. And I'm just kind of wiggling up and down and up and down. Then as I get down here, I'm making it straighter. Oops. I want it to be really straight. I don't want his nose to be weird. Looks like it's a little off center when there. Okay. And there is, I'm going to take my Q-tip and make that little indent there. And then there is a nostril here. And a nostril here. Okay, and there's the line down the center, but we aren't going to do the line down the center quite yet. We're going to take our 1/4 inch brush with a little bit of gray on it, and a little bit of black on it. And we're going to pull from the edges just to the middle. Flip it and do the same on this side. Use the black that you put there to help you create the shading. It'll be much easier that way. Push it to the center. There you go. And then you can make the little line down the center of his nose. A little more pronounced. Now, at the very end of his nose, I'm still using my liner, or my scroller. He's going to have, here, okay. At the very end of his nose, and his nose has kind of a leathery look to it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's a shame. It was looking so good. Hang on. Okay. We're going to take the black and we're just going to create the bottom of his nose here. And come up. And just kind of fill in the black. There's a little black at the end of his nose like that. It's kind of a blunt nose. I'm going to wipe out there. And wipe out a little there. And wipe out a little there. And just keep wiping whatever you're using as a wipeout tool if it's not working for you, because that's what it'll take in order to get this to be just the way you want it. There we go. I told you this is not necessarily a beginner's project. Now I'm going to pull this down just a little more. Might even tap it a little. And I'm going to put in his mouth. Now his mouth, yeah, it looks like the paper must have shifted because his mouth is a little off center. You're going to make it an interrupted black line. Think of it as his, see, I have parts of it missing here. Think of it as his mustache. You'll get a better outcome. Okay? Okay. That's his head. Now, this eye's a little higher than that eye. So if that happens to you, you can very gently take off the eye, go back with your scroller and make it a little bit less pronounced. Come on. I need to see it face on so that I'm not there. That's better. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to make marsupial marks on him. So what I want you to do is take your brush. We're going back now to this brush. Fill in his cheeks just a little bit more with the dark. Make sure they're nice and dark because you've been working around them. I would use black starting by his nose and coming out and up like this. And there are marsupial markings. Let me just raise his eye here a little. There we go. This eye needs a little eye relief. There we go. Okay. And you're going to make those using your pointed Q-tip. Now let me show you where they are. This right here, it's almost like a butterfly design. And there. Can you see that? There's a little bit up here. It kind of resembles his mouth. Half of his mouth. It's out and in. And out and in. And you're going to do that by just touching the fur with this brush. Like that. There. And if it's not doing well for you, make sure you're on the very tip. If it's not working for you, get another Q-tip, because the Q-tip will give you exactly the look you want. Now I see a little up in here for him, and I see a little up in here for him too. So play as you need to, but this is important. Okay? Alrighty. Now we're going to start doing the background, because this is white. And this, well, this isn't white, but this is white. And so if we do the background, it will be easier to get this. We also have to do the arms, arms before we do the beard, because the beard comes all the way down. So you have to have dark in order to get light. So I'm going to take my brush. This is the wedge, or the, what do they call it? Angular shader. And I'm just going to go into my warm brown gray, and I'm going to wobble. I'm going to start up at the top, and I'm going to wobble. These branches, or this tree, it's like a lot of little fingers next to each other. See how they look there? And so in order to get that effect, if you wobble, you will get a really good effect there. Like this. Back and forth with this brush. This is a great brush for this. And you can change the color. You can add a little gray to it and wobble over here with a little gray in it. This is the part, the point is the part that actually creates the really nice texture. So lead with the point. See here, I've got gray. I'm going to add a little rich brown to the brown gray, and I'm going to do that down here. Wobble. Here we go, wobble. And you're probably going, what the heck? This is a cool way to do the tree, I'll tell you. Now, in parts of the tree, there's a little bit of orange. There's a little bit of yellow-brown. So just mix your colors as you see fit. Okay, now here I'm going to do a little more of that orange right here. Think of what's going to be next to it. He has white fur out there. So you need to have this be fairly dark here next to him. And you can wobble up as well as down. It doesn't matter with this brush. That's what I love about it. See how it gives you that instant texture? It's great. You need to get the dark where you want it, though. The dark is key. This is all going to be white. It doesn't matter right now if you go over it or not, but you need to get it. You need to get the color in. Let's make this a little darker over here. Okay. I'm mixing brown and black now, and I'm just wobbling. Now I'll show you what really is going to make a difference. Here I want to get a lot of color in back here. I want to get color in here. You may have to pick it apart a little bit, you know. You might have to play with it a little bit just to get the color the way you want it. If you go over the ears, who cares, right? Because you're going to have to pull out those ears. That's the reason for putting this dark color behind it. Make sure you have it on both sides. And here I'm going to mix some colors, and I'm just going to wobble it up. Need a little oil. I'm trying to force something that won't force. There we go. Okay, now let me show you what I'm going to do next. This is the coolest thing. Clean off your brush really well. Put it in black. This way. Get the tip of it really dark black. And you're going to start pulling in those lines that you had there. Just pull them down. They should be deeper in the middle than they are on the sides, color-wise. If they go down into here, that's fine right now. We haven't done that yet. Behind him, you may want to make them a little darker like this. Look at the picture. I'm holding it upside down. See the picture right there? See how I'm making it? Try not to get too heavy a paint on there. It's real easy to do, I know. And then flip it around, and you're going to do this side of him. And this side, it kind of comes down like this. And it comes down like this. This brush saves you a ton of time. And don't worry, if it's not dark enough, you can always make it darker the next time. And if it's too dark or you've got too much on there and you don't like it, clean your brush. Go back into your oil. Add a little of whatever the color is around it, like brown here, and just wobble. I'm going to get rid of some of that. There. See? There. Now it'll look better on the next fire because you're going to do these much more meticulously on the next fire, but for right now, all you want to do is create some lines. And remember, these are black lines, so if you don't get them exactly the way you want them, you can do them the next time, and they'll be just equally good. Taking my little rake, and I'm just going to do his body right here with the warm brown gray. And I'm just filling it in. This is that little hump of his body when he's kind of squatty, you know. You don't see his hind legs, but you see part of his body. That's what this is. Okay. Now, I'm taking my rake. I'm putting it in my turpentine, patting it off really, really, really well. First, I'm going to take this brush. This is the 1/4 inch, and I'm going to put a side load of black on it. And I'm just going close to his head with the black. Side load only. Pull it towards his head like this. Do the same thing on the other side. Now you notice it's not real dark. It could be darker. It can always be darker on the next coat. You don't have to put the depth in on this coat. Okay, oops, I missed a spot right there with the, let me get that. Right here. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to wipe this off right here. Okay. And I'm going to start with that brush, the rake, and I'm going to press and lift. Clean it off again. Clean it off really well with turpentine. Press and lift. Press and lift. Press and lift. You can just brush it off if you think that'll do it for you. If you want it whiter, don't get into the black. If you want it darker, get into the black. You can use the side of the brush. Remember, you have to leave some white on this time. If you don't leave some white on this time, you won't have any for next time. Okay, now we're going to do the other side of him. I think he's okay. Maybe a little more here. All right, now let's do this side of him. And this side we're going to press and lift. This brush is a godsend because see how the edges go? Now this goes kind of up this way. As you're doing it, look at your picture. Decide how much you want to lift it. As you do it, this is the last chance you get on this. So if it's not exactly the way you want it, add color behind it, start over. I think that's good. Now you can go back in with a little black and just pull out some of that black there and some of the black here. And some of the black here. And you can do that on the other side if you want to. But don't do a lot because you can do more on the second fire. Okay, now we said dark in order to get light. Taking his fur brush, my rake again. I'm going to start here because there's white fur here and there's white fur here. Let me show you. White fur here, and a little bit there. So I'm going to start and work on his chest and then work on his arms and then finally pull his beard out just like I did up here. Oh, wait, I want to do this a little better. That's better. Okay. So I'm taking the black and he's very dark down here. So I'm going to start about there. I actually should do this one upside down. When you work upside down, turn your picture upside down. So here, let me put the picture next to it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing this. So we're going to get black near the bottom. Now remember, this is only a first fire, so it doesn't have to be real dark black. It just has to be blackish, so you know where the black goes. You can get it on the log at this point. You haven't done the log. And as you come up, you can turn the brush on its side to help you get the color in there. Okay. Clean your brush very well. Flip it around. And now in order to get this here, we're going to just wipe it off. Wipe it off. Wipe it off. See, that's what we're going for there. Just get it somewhat. If it's not perfect, you can always add to it next time. But err on the side of it being too white, okay? Okay. Alrighty, now we're going to do the arms. The arms are pretty simple. I'm going to take a combination of a full load of gray with a little bit of black. And see these arms, especially this one here, it goes off this way, and then it comes this way. And then you have these black areas, same here. This mostly comes down and a little bit off to the side with a couple of black areas. Oops, should hold it down further there so you can see. These are the two black areas, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start up at the top and start adding. Here I need a little more black because it's going to be under his little beard. Gray with a little black. Gray with a little black. Now, I'm pulling this way and then this way. Gray with a little black. I haven't put the white on the edges yet. And in the middle, it's going to come down. So you got to kind of, there we go. Up here, I'm going to add a little more black. A little more black. And then I'm just going to take the gray and come down this way. Got to make it seamless. Got to make it seamless. Now to add that black back in, I'm just going to do this. Oh, hang on. It's kind of a push back on the, and another one here. You push back on this, it'll give you that little bit of color that you need there. There you go. Now, clean your brush. So I think I might do it like this. Take your Q-tip. Keep rotating it. Keep rotating it. Get the side of it. Now, go back and get a fresh Q-tip now that you've got the white off. And you're going to be right on the edge of it. And that's going to create a really cute little fuzzy look to them. And then we'll just pull this. There we go. Now, in order to get this white on the sides here, you're going to go back and pull forward. Remember, you can add this back in, add the gray back in real easy. All you do is just take a little gray and go. Okay. And then on this side, you want kind of the same thing down here. So I'm going to take my Q-tip. And then I'll just take my gray. Good, good. Now, I'm on my gray with a little warm brown gray. And I'm going to back up under here. This is his beard. You see on here, this has some color to it. And I'm just barely covering it right now because I don't want to lose it. And then up in the top in here, let me bring this guy over so you can see what we're doing here. Oop. Okay, I'm going to do this area here. So I'm taking the gray and I'm going under his chin like this. And then here, adding a little dark, coming down a little this way. Here, adding a little dark, coming down a little. Oh, really should have done it this way, but okay. Coming down a little this way. And I want a little dark under his chin here. That's just for me. Now you have to have dark in order to be able to pull light away. Remember that. So here I don't want to lose where his chin ends, so I'm going to put a little bit of dark there, a little bit of dark here. Okay, you see all that? And now we're going to pull out his beard. Wipe, press, and lift. Press and lift. Press and lift. A little more. Okay, well, at least I know you guys are still there. Okay, press and lift, press and lift. You just have to get that fluffy edge to it so he looks like he's fluffy. And then in here, there's like one of these. Let me get it better. Now we'll get the darker up on his face later. Now, down here, it's mainly blacks and grays with some green lichen. So we're going back to my wedge brush. We're going to tilt this a little so it's easier to do. I see a lot of this brown. Be loose, be very loose on this. This is where you can really do whatever you want. You don't have to be controlled. Be very loose about this if you're going to do this. Hang on, got a little too much black on there. I want more gray. Gray, okay. You can even paint like I'm painting, straight down with this brush. Let's get some browns in here. And then we're going to go with a little gray over on this side. Oh, that's not gray. That's okay, it doesn't matter. Let's get some good gray here. That's good. I'm using like a silver gray. You could use a dove gray. You could use any gray. A little too oily. Wipe it off. Get back in there. And get your gray. Okay, now clean your brush really well. There's a lot of gray on my brush. There we go. And you're going to take your green. It can be a moss green. It can be any kind of a green. Just not too thick. And you're just going to kind of tap it in there wherever you want it. Okay. And then you can kind of feather over it if you want. Alrighty, now we're going to take the black, just like we did up above. Load the end of this guy. And you're going to come down and go like this. Because it's not easy to create this kind of thing. You have to sort of think about it a little bit ahead of time. You want some thin, you want some fat. Oh, come on. I don't know what kind of tree this is. I would assume it was a eucalyptus because they like eucalyptus, but who knows? You can even draw with just the tip if you want. I like drawing with the whole thing because I think it gives me more of a splintered look to the tree. Go both directions, doesn't matter. It's a tree, so just let it take you wherever it wants to take you. Alrighty. I might just take a little brown and put in down here. You can use a regular brush. Nothing says you have to use these brushes. If you don't have them, just use a regular brush. You can put some color in. There. I think I want a little more color here so that it's not all the same. There. This is how he turned out. You can see. And when he fires up, he'll probably end up almost looking more like this. Okay, this is a first fire. So I actually think I did a better job of capturing a lot of the shadows and things on this one that I did today, especially down in his belly and stuff. Well, pick up those brushes, keep painting. See you next time.